How's it going, everyone? It's Logan from Prime Fusion Media here, and today I just wanted to showcase Apollo.io's email automation features. Before we get into that, though, I did want to point out that they do have a free version where you can try all this stuff out, and you can basically try out all of their paid features, but they just put limits on it as you pay. The paid plans as well have limits, but obviously, as you pay more, the more those limits are. The free plan includes things such as 2 email automation sequences, the very basic filters for finding contacts in their database, and other things such as AI assisted email writing. You can send 250 emails per day and a bunch of other stuff. If you do want to get started for free with Apollo, go ahead and find my link in the description and you can sign up there. Just as a disclaimer, I do get a commission if you do ever decide to buy a paid plan. Obviously, it doesn't cost you anything. It's kind of just Apollo's way of saying thank you to me for referring you to them. I do really like Apollo. I personally use it every single day in my own business and in my 9 to 5 that I do have. I've been referring people to Apollo since I even became a Apollo partner because I do really like a platform and I think they have a lot to offer for prices that are honestly ridiculously low for what their competition charges. So to get right into it, I'm going to go to my home here. We have 2 things to look at when it comes to Apollo's email automation. We have the sequences tab right here and the emails tab. And the emails tab, if I click it right here, this is where we're going to create our email templates and we're going to be able to see all of the emails we've ever sent in Apollo. Right, we'll be able to see the total, our drafted emails, how many we've delivered, how many have not been opened, how many people opened our emails, how many people clicked our links, which I did have this on. I do recommend turning it off if it's not a necessity because it is way better for your deliverability. We can see how many people unsubscribed from our emails, how many people replied. We can set up things like, do they seem interested? Just things like that. And of course, the 2 very important ones, your bounced and your spam blocked, because obviously we want these numbers as little as possible. So this is basically our whole overview of all the emails we've ever sent, and we can see these. Obviously, I've sent 3,200, so I'm not going to just scroll through these and hope I find the one I'm looking for. We can obviously search the emails that we've sent. We can also see what users sent what emails, things of that nature. So to actually create an email template, which can be the first step of creating a sequence, obviously email templates are going to be way easier when organizing your sequence, and you can always use that template in the future as well. So I always recommend just creating the template. Don't just create a sequence with the individual emails that aren't templates, because then you won't be able to use those in the future. So to create a template, again, we're in the emails tab and we're going to go up here and hit templates. And then in the top right hand corner, we're going to hit create template and we're going to name our template. So I'm going to name this test. And then we're going to set an owner, which if you have multiple people in an Apollo account, so if you have multiple seats, you can set who owns the sequence, so just make sure it's set to you if that's what you'd want. And then right here, here's where we're going to actually create the email template. So the subject line and the body. And I'm not really going to highlight very much here because I'm just kind of going to try to show you exactly how this works, show you what features it offers. But if I went over everything, this would be a very long video. I just want to point out that this is where you create it, and an awesome feature that Apollo provides is its dynamic variables. So these dynamic variables allow you to personalize the emails. So if you want to start your email with a greeting, you can say hi, and then instead of, just saying hi, you can put their name in there. So it will pull that contact's first name into here. So say you're sending this email to 250 people. All 250 of those people, their name is going to be automatically inputted here when it sends that email. So that's a great way to personalize the emails, and especially the subject lines. I think that goes a long way in the subject lines because people will see that subject line with their name in it or something that's personable to their company or what state the company's located in. and they're more likely to open it. And then once they open it, if they read your email, right, that's way better than if they just ignore it. So again, these dynamic variables are very, very useful. They have things like first name, last name, company, their domain, their city, their state, just things like that. So once you create your email template, you can hit save up here. And then as you can see, we can see all of our templates right here. It'll show up right at the top. And then to actually create a sequence, obviously you're going to come over here and hit sequences. And again, you're going to get an overview of all of your sequences. And in the top right hand corner, we're going to hit create a sequence. And we're going to get 4 options here: AI assisted, pre-formatted. You can clone one of your sequences, or you can start from scratch. You can check out their templates. I've never used AI assisted because it's just faster for me to create my sequences from scratch. You can name your sequence whatever you want. And then you can set permissions, so you can let your team view and use your sequences, or you can make it private to yourself, or you can at least make it so your team can view these sequences and view the results of them. And then right here is where you're going to set your schedule for your sequence. So I just recommend leaving it normal business hours if you're trying to prospect, people at work, or you can always create a custom one such as 24/7, or just a few hours out of the day. You can do that by hitting here. They do have some advanced settings you can play around with as well, but just for the sake of this video, keeping it short, just showing you the basics, we're just going to go ahead and leave it there and hit create. And now here's going to be an overview of our sequence. Obviously there's nothing in it yet, so we're going to go ahead and add a step, and we can do an automatic email, or we can do things such as manual emails, which is basically just going to send you a reminder and say, hey, send an email to this person. Or you can do things such as they're basically tasks if you use these. Oh, yep, they call them tasks right there. All right. Yeah, so it's going to basically tell you to send an email or phone call or any action item you want. So obviously, if we want to automate our email sending, we're going to be wanting to use automatic emails. But before we get into that, they do also have these LinkedIn tasks, which again is kind of just a reminder, but they're trying to automate this to where all you have to do is hit a button, and if you have your LinkedIn connected, you hit that button and then it will send the connection request for you. I've tested this out a few times. It's a little finicky, works most of the time. Sometimes it doesn't, so I'd maybe stay away from this at first. Again, if you just wanted to use it for a reminder to do it, that's great, but the actual automation of it is not quite there yet. So we're going to go ahead and create an automatic email. And here is where we are going to set when we want this first step to start. So after we add a contact to our sequence, do we want the first step to start immediately? So do we want this email to be sent immediately when they're added, or do we want to wait a little bit? Personally, I recommend always waiting at least 5 minutes, and here's why. So I deal in pretty large amounts of contacts, a few thousand people at a time at least, and I don't allow my mailbox to send, 50, 100, 150 people an email a day, or I'm sorry, overall emails per day, because obviously I don't want to send all 1,000 people these emails on the same day, because my emails are going to be marked as spam. Right? If you slowly build up an email and you start at 50 emails per day, and then you ramp it up slowly, then you can get up to maybe 100, 150. But regardless, you always want to have that limit, depending on what your limit is and how established your email inbox is. And so what this 5 minutes is going to do is it's going to let Apollo add all of your contacts to the sequence, and it's going to give it time to actually figure out and schedule the emails, because obviously when you have these limits in place, say you allow it to send 5 emails per hour on the inbox that's going to be used to send these emails to your contacts in the sequence, it's going to schedule. So it's going to say, okay, we're going to start with these 5 contacts So immediately when you put your contacts in here, you just put 1,000 in here, it's going to send these 5 people an email. And then the rest of the contacts, it's going to go through and automatically schedule the rest of the emails for, you know, days, weeks out, depending on how many emails you allow to be sent. So again, this 5 minutes is just going to give it time to do that, because in my experience, if I just said immediately right here, sometimes it does get screwed up because Apollo kind of freaks out because it's trying to schedule all this while also sending these emails right away. And of course, you can also do longer than that too. So if you wanted to wait hours or even days, you could do that as well. But I'm going to leave it at 5 minutes and then hit continue. And now here's where we're going to actually create the email. But of course, we don't have to actually go ahead and create an email because we already made a template, which we're going to find down here. We're going to hit load templates, and then we're going to select the one we want. Now here's an important step. We can either link it to the original template, and if we make any changes to that template here, it's going to actually change the original template, or we can hit clone, which I recommend. So I'm going to hit that, and that's going to clone the template for this purpose. Any changes we put here, so if we wanted to change, you know, if we wanted to add information or take any away, it's not going to actually change the original template you made. So once our template is in here, we can see a preview of it over here, and we can actually choose a contact, which I'm not going to do because that's just going to be another thing I'm going to have to blur. So we can leave it for example, but you can choose a contact. Just see how that email is going to look when it's sent to that contact. Basically, just to make sure your dynamic variables are working, because obviously, you know, if you had it like this, you know, by mistake, you know, you accidentally deleted that, then all of your emails are going to now say hi first name instead of that dynamic variable that we want. Another thing to note and another thing to be careful of is your include signature button. Me personally, whenever I make email templates, I usually manually type in the signature as well. That's a mistake that I really want to get rid of, because most platforms you're using like Apollo or HubSpot, you can always put your signature in there, kind of like your default signature, so it's always going to include it. But just be careful of this. So if you do put a signature in your template, you go ahead and turn your automatic signature off, so there's not 2 signatures. This can especially be a problem, say if I make a template and then one of my coworkers is going to use my template. If their signature's in there, as well as if I put a manual signature in there, you just want to be careful of that. So once the email looks all good for the step, whatever we want to put in here, we're going to hit save. And there's going to be the first step of the sequence. So we're going to add one more just to show again the scheduling. And obviously you can add as many as you want, but let's just add one more automatic email. And again, so after that first step, when do we want this second email to be sent? I'll just leave it at 3 days, but again, you can do hours or you can do days. So, you know, if I wanted it to be next week, I could do 7 days, things like that. I'm gonna hit continue. I'm just gonna put this same default template in there. I'll clone it again, hit save, and now we have 2 steps. So again, you can go in there, you can play around with all these settings. You can do as many steps as you want. You can even do A/B testing, which, say you have 500 contacts, you can try out 2 initial emails, so it'll send 250 contacts this email, 250 contacts the other email, and then you can look at their statistics, and you can see which one has performed the best. I guess, seeing that I mentioned that, now is a good time to showcase that here's all the statistics you're going to see for the individual steps. So once you start sending these emails to the contacts, right here is where we're going to see how many emails are scheduled for this step, how many have been delivered, bounced, spam blocked, how many people opened them, replied to them, things like that. You know, we have interested and how many people opted out as well. So this is where you're going to see the statistics of the actually individual steps, and then up here as well, you will start to see the overall stats of your sequence. So again, once you have all of your steps ready in your email sequence, you're going to add the contacts by coming up here and hitting add contacts. And then you have a few options. You can actually go into Apollo's database and search for people to add to your sequence. You can upload your own CSV file, or you can select a list that you created on their prospect searcher. I'll show you the CSV one just because there's an important step here as well. Just make sure when you're importing contacts, you select import contacts, because if you try to import a contact CSV, when you hit over here import accounts, it's not going to work. Import accounts is going to be for when you're importing companies information. Import contacts is going to be contacts information. So pretty straightforward. Once you hit select CSV file, it's going to just make sure that it's your headers of your CSV. So say first name, last name, email, you have their website in there. It's just going to make sure that it's understanding what these variables are in your CSV. You can confirm those, you can change those, very straightforward, and then you'll hit import. And after you do that, your contacts will be imported into your sequence, and you'll be able to see them right here. You know, in the contacts, you'll be able to see everyone, what step of the sequence they're on. Again, you'll have some statistics up here. After your emails start to get sent, you'll have a little emails tab in your sequence just to see what emails have been sent in your sequence as well. And that is basically it. So that is how you make an email template and create a sequence, add your contacts. The last thing to note is just to make sure once your sequence is all set that you did activate your sequence. So this will be paused. Let's go in there. You can actually go in here to your sequence as well. Top right hand corner, once your contacts are added and everything, you can just hit activate, and that's it. Your sequence will be activated, and you'll be good to be sending the emails, getting reminders to do tasks, things like that. So I hope you guys like this video. I hope it was helpful. Again, if you do want to try out Apollo, there will be a link in the description. Go ahead and check that out. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.